Think about gorgeous. Think about that word. Think about a painting that's gorgeous. Is it just one line of blue or is it complex? Is it nuanced? Does it have variation in it? That's what's gorgeous. Maybe it's one line of blue, but no, really, if you think about when we are drawn to something and we find it gorgeous, it's often because of the nuance or the complexity or the variation in it.
Hello, amazing humans, and welcome to episode number 283 of the Game On Girlfriend podcast. I am really excited for today. If you are someone who has ever wanted to do a TED Talk, if you've ever wanted to be better on stages, or if you've ever wanted to understand what makes a speaker so compelling, like why are there some people who do TED Talks and they freaking blow up? And then there are other people who do TED Talks that might be extraordinary, but we don't feel connected to them or we don't share them. And the entire idea of that platform, right, is ideas worth spreading. But that also goes into you being able to go to your local library and do a presentation or to present something for venture capital funding or to talk to your people on YouTube or even on Instagram. There's something that has people connect to us when we're on a screen or on a stage. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. What do those people who are able to do it every time, what do they have? What's happening with them? How does their authentic, awesome, gooey goodness self get up and deliver something that hits us in a way that is so compelling we can't look away? If you've ever wanted to know the answers to these questions, or you've wanted to be a speaker or presenter who can do that, you're going to be so happy you bumped into this episode today because Jen Oliver is my guest, and she has devoted her life to becoming a speaking coach. And she's deeply connected to the entire TEDx community as she's been an executive producer for them for quite some time. So if you have been looking for a speaking coach, Jen might just be your gal. Jen Oliver coaches women to speak with impact and is highly effective at helping her clients show up real when leveraging their story, mission, and the embodiment to exert powerful influence. Whether you want to deliver a strong TEDx talk or a keynote or present and network with greater confidence to an organization, a high quality communicator advances their relationships and ideas. Jen is now entering her fourth season as an executive producer and director of curation and speaker coach for TEDx Folsom. And she contributes to other US-based speaking events. She's also a force behind Women Speak, an internationally recognized body of work teaching the art and soul of public speaking. We cover a lot of topics today, but the one I really hope that you listen for, especially if you want to start speaking more, is the power of your own energy and understanding how much your body is an instrument for you to use whenever you decide to share your story and speak. You're going to love this. Pop in those earphones and let's get to it. Jen, are you kidding me? I'm so excited to have you on the show today. Welcome to the Game On Girlfriend podcast.
Oh, A, Sarah, I adore you. B, the fact that you named this podcast after one of my absolute favorite scenes in The West Wing with Abby and Jed Bartlett. Come on.
You
Like,
know.
we're going to break that down because if your audience doesn't know this, the friends, the girlfriends who are gathered with us, they need to be clued in because it's epic.
I
It's
agree.
epic.
I have to tell you, it's one of my favorite things. Like, God bless the universe for allowing us to have creativity, because that was one of my favorite moments as I was like, what do I call the podcast? What do I call the podcast? So we will absolutely dive into that together. I can't wait. And I think it's
Yeah,
so beautifully aligned with what you do for all of the amazing
totally.
humans who get to work with you.
Totally.
But before we jump into that, Jen, you're amazing. You have had this extraordinary life. You have all these things you've already accomplished. I know them well personally, right? But I have to ask you, for everyone listening, out of all the things on planet Earth that Jen Oliver could have done with her life, why is this what you do?
Because I'm called exactly to the work I needed myself, which is so often the case. I believe there is a Buddhist proverb around that.
Yes.
The same preface, we started to talk about it right before recording, that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Well, my teacher, I learn at the feet of the very work I needed and the work I do with other people. And so
Mm.
if you look at me from a communication standpoint, because here I am, this speaker coach, this communications consultant, this person who helps women to find their voice to speak with greater impact, it was because I could stand on a stage. Let's say I could pick up a microphone. That wasn't a problem. I'm an extroverted person. I love being the center of attention, not an issue. But what I was terrible at was saying the truest thing in my relationships, in my marriages, plural, no
Mm-hmm.
longer. That should be a clue into some of this conversation. I really would dance around subjects, or I'd sugarcoat, or I'd people please, or I'd say what I thought was palatable, what they wanted to hear. And I was never really dropping into my body and getting super clear on what my truest voice even was, listening to her and then speaking from that place. So instead, I spoke from the chatter in my head, which we all know this, right?
Mm.
There's not a person listening with us right now who isn't going, oh my God, I know that chatter in my head.
Yeah.
It's freaking exhausting. We allowed to say those words on this
Oh,
podcast?
you can say all the words.
Because I do speak kind of real.
Oh,
Yeah, I
yeah.
needed it.
Yeah. Yeah. So you found in your own life, and I love the vulnerability and the honesty,
Oh,
but also just getting that in your own life. We've got to learn how to tell the truth.
mhm.
I think it is something as women, especially. I know men are having a hard time with this right now as well. Like, just where do I fit in this world right now? Those kinds of questions are being asked. And as women, I think we do get a particular, oh, what is the word? I want to say a particular film on us at a
Yes. Yeah.
very young age of please don't bother us with your emotions.
Yes.
Like, right?
Okay. But your emotions, think about this. If you can even drop in and feel those emotions, which many of us veto them,
Mm,
if you can do that, your emotions inform their data points. But we've been taught to feel crappy about them, or that there's somehow an indicator that there is a shortcoming in us. So there's something wrong with us for feeling those emotions instead of what they were designed for, which is their data points, their instinct, their intuition to give us some cues to know how to better respond or move
mm,
forward. But
mm,
instead, we gaslight ourselves, or society will gaslight you for having the emotion, make you feel wrong for feeling the emotion. I would say that's one of the biggest thing I had to ever overcome myself, because
mm.
I was made to feel wrong for my emotions. And again, I can't blame the people in my lives. That's what they were taught. That's what culture did. And then I remember I did it with my kids. My kids are now grown, Sarah, but I can remember going, you shouldn't feel that way. No, how do we tell people how
Right.
they should or shouldn't feel? And we do it all the
All the
time.
time.
And we definitely do it to ourselves.
Mm, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
And I think that was the lesson I received as a young person too, is like, what's wrong with you? Stop it.
Yep.
It's like, oh, I don't know. There must be something wrong with me for having feelings, right? And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hope my hope for society is we are working through that together. I feel like all of the things that are changing, all of the collapse of faith in institution we're seeing, all of that is also a collapse of faith in what we were taught. I hope
Oh,
we
yeah.
start to break that down. I think what you just said is so powerful. And because when we're just raised that way, we don't know. Like
No, you don't know
we don't
any
know.
different.
Yeah.
But I will say I know we are breaking it down little by little. And here's how I know it, because I see it in my work with
Mm,
my clients. I watch their shift. I watch their confidence change, because suddenly I've said, "Hey, you know all those different voices in your head? Okay, that one's ego. Okay, that one's personality. Oh, that's culture. That's social media. Oh, that's mom. Oh, that's that teacher I had." When suddenly they have this understanding that all these voices in their head aren't necessarily them, and then they can attribute who it is or where it came from, then they're better equipped to go, oh, there's like this liberation that happens.
mhm,
And they go, oh, that wasn't even me in the first place. Oh, there is this truest, like soulful voice that's really me. And I can listen to her. And I feel like that does start to happen and transition. And the more people who experience it and then show up as their real selves and speaking their truth,
mm.
that begets more. So I do see it shifting, because I see how it shifts in people right in front of my very eyes. So I know it's shifting, and shifting because we're having these kinds of conversations
Yep.
on podcasts like this
Yeah, we're
constantly
allowed
now.
to. right? Like
Yeah.
we're actually allowed to show up as ourselves now. It's so cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just have to think like I just got this like wave of somebody listening going, "Yes, but how do you work with people to cause that to happen?" So I want to hear a little
Mm,
bit more. Like I know, but I want for everybody to understand and experience the Jen Oliver experience, right? Of like you taking a human standing in front of you saying, "I want to do a TED Talk. I have a story to tell. There's some way that I need to get in front of stages and share this." What do you do with them? Like, how does somebody work with you and understand how to, how important one it is to stand up on the stage and do that, and then how to access that part of themselves that's been probably a little bit more quiet than even they would like to admit or understand.
yeah. Okay. The way first that I would explain this and the way I work with my clients is by way of my own personal story. So let me explain, like, give you a little picture of a little microcosm in Jen Oliver's life that I think will lend to this. So, a number of years ago, I was in my second marriage to a very wonderful man that I rushed into marriage because I had to, restore the legacy for my children that was ripped away when my first 20-year marriage ended.
Mm.
Okay, so I rushed into a marriage with an opposite man, a wonderful man, and thought, here we go. Let's start it again. Game on, girlfriend. You are now in your next marriage and you've restored legacy for the children. You're suddenly doing the socially approved thing. You're married. You've restored yourself as a fine, upstanding woman who's not doing all kinds of crazy things, all of it. Okay. And I realized very quickly I didn't belong in that marriage, but I would not really give that voice. Okay. So stay with me. Think about we have these things in our head and we're wrestling with them. And then we go, this is the truth. And if I don't get this truth out of me, it is making me sick. We feel dis-ease in our body. So, first thing, I start to explain this because women listen and go, oh, that's what I'm feeling in my body. I thought it was nerves about speaking, and that's just an indicator of how inadequate I am and ill
Mm.
equipped to speak on a stage or to be on a podcast or to honor something with my own clients. Okay. So I admit that and explain to them that's what was going on. And then I realized one day, and this picture I tell a lot, but it is one of the most pivotal moments in my life and the key that turned everything. I realized one day after my husband walked in, sat on the bathtub as I was getting ready for my day and putting on my makeup. And he says, I don't get it. You keep saying you want these deeper conversations. You keep saying you're so unhappy in the marriage. Tell me more. What should I be doing? It's clear you're unhappy. And all of the sudden, I realized you haven't been saying at all what's true. You've been dancing around the subject and you've just been sort of candy coating it and oh well it's this and it's that. And I remembered a friend, Stacy Bartley, who's also a relationship mediator, and she said it is so profoundly unkind to not tell the truth. You're torturing another person because they're dealing in the absence of communication. They are dealing with a fiction that's so far worse than the reality.
Oh my
Give them the
gosh.
dignity of the truth. Speak your truth. And I took a deep breath like I'm doing right now,
Mm.
because that's another important thing we do because we stay in this chatter in our head. And I just said, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I don't belong in this marriage. I don't know that I ever did. I rushed into it. I am so sorry. You're not doing anything wrong. I just don't belong here. And he
Wow.
was shocked and stunned because I was in denial and I didn't want to bring voice to it because bringing voice to it would suddenly mean now I have another failed marriage. Now I'm disappointing my kids. I'm going to crush him. I'm going to crush his family. I'm going to crush everybody's going to be crushed. And so it's incumbent upon me to muscle this, not say the truth, and just put a new narrative around it because we're good at that too. We bring voice to other narratives that we wish could be true, but they really aren't.
Right.
So that's, as Kelsey Murphy says, that's a long way to a ham sandwich.
We love
I
you,
love
Kelsey. Yes.
love you,
Yeah.
Kels,
Yeah.
but who's the reason I know you, Sarah Walton. So
Yes.
my point in telling that long story is that it's those little moments where we look at what is the dis-ease? Where am I not showing up true? Where am I not saying what is honest. Like, where's that voice?
Mm.
I listen deeply to her and then speak from that place. In everything in our lives, I am absolutely firm on this, gets better when we do that. It seems daunting, it seems harmful, but if you can really get to the truth, not all this drivel up here, everything gets better and for all involved.
That when
Yeah.
you said that your friend said, not telling the truth is so unkind,
Yeah.
right? It's like, I mean, I felt my own stomach drop.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, because I've
Yeah.
done that too. Like, you think you're being nice,
You,
right? Like, you're going to make it nicey nice for everybody, but me.
oh, please. I know. Yeah, keep going. I'm
Oh,
just like,
no,
I'm
that
so with
is
you on
so
this.
good.
We think we're being nice. Okay, this is something we're taught to do. We're famous on this,
Mm.
right? Whether it's our faith institutions, whether it's our families, the culture, we have been taught if you don't have something nice to say, don't say it.
Ah, right,
Well, what if it's
right.
just the truth?
Yes.
Because then we can operate in the
Uh,
truth. If a doctor was diagnosing one of us right now on something and they didn't have the truth to work with, how can they properly diagnose and then treat us and help us become well?
brilliant.
So it is
Yeah.
true with our conversations, with our relationships, with our work, with our boundaries, with what we're showing up to do in the world and contribute all of it.
Hmm.
But we've got to dismantle and move through the stuff that's getting in the way of that.
Yes.
So, did I even answer your
Yes.
question?
Are you kidding me? Yes, that was like one of the best answers I've ever heard is that you help people tell their truth.
Yeah,
I think if we could just sum it down into that, that is what it is. And what a gift you have, Jen, to be able to help people do that.
yeah,
Flip. I wish I would have met you when I was like, what is wrong with me? When I knew I needed to get divorced, right? And I was like, oh, but I can't, all the things that we do and how unkind that actually was. Now that I can look back at it, I thought I was doing the right thing, the good girl thing, right? The thing that we all, I think, as women struggle with, which is, but I'm
yeah,
supposed to be the good one. I'm supposed to take care of everybody. This is so selfish for me to tell the truth.
yeah,
And understanding that is all part of the system. Talk about a lack of faith in institutions, right? That is all part of an institutional, I want to say, mind binding of
yeah,
us, right? Voice
yeah.
binding, right? Of like, don't tell the truth. And it's like, that's like the most important thing we could do.
Right. And then translate that to stages. So, to your
Mm.
earlier question, when it comes to, let's say, a TEDx stage, which is a lot of the work I do because I'm an executive producer for TEDx. So, think about this. When you're in an audience or you're watching a YouTube video or you're in front of even at a conference where somebody's giving a lecture, you energetically connect to someone who you truly sense is connected to themselves, their truth, and they're showing up in that way.
Mm.
So, as a speaker coach, that's why I'm really unconventional in the work I do. I'm not like other coaches because, yes, they can tell you here's where you stand, here's how to make your eye contact, here's how to use your hands, here's to be persuasive, here's the ways to be believable. How about instead of cookie cutters, speakers with formulas,
Mm.
which feels like lipstick on a pig to me
I get that.
if it's not authentic.
Mhm.
So I feel like we're never allowing them to just show up real and then dialed up a little bit and prepared for who they are. Then you have this amazing collection of speakers, all unique to who they are, delivering a message, let's say on a TEDx stage, and the audience knows, humans know, they drop in and feel a connection and a resonance more readily with someone that they go, oh, I just sense a truth about them. God, that person's such a truth teller. They were so honest. They were so transparent. They were so raw. They were so real. Think about all the things that we're drawn to and that we resonate with. And then that acts like permission and invitation to everyone else to do more of the same and bring out their truth. So I see speakers who go, I have high stakes talks and I want to be an impact speaker and I want to be impressive. I said, don't worry about impressive. Be of impact because you show up real as who you are. So we got to dial in that voice.
Mm.
We're going to do all that precursor work to unleash that person, that voice, help them. You even said it. What did you say? Help people to tell their truth. I was like, gosh, I've never said it like that till you just did. And I wrote it down. Yeah. I help people to tell their truth because
Yeah.
that is then the energy behind their words or their idea or their research or their coaching that animates it. And people are like, yes, please. Oh,
Yes.
yes, please.
Oh, there is
Yeah.
so much to that. I think
Yeah.
like even it's so interesting, Jen, because I'm one of those people who could be on a stage for like 100 hours and be like, did something happen? Like I loved it. Like I just time disappears. I love it so much.
Totally.
But I think where so oh God, I'm trying to like talk about all the different ways I've learned that that energy is real. And there's so many places I've learned it. My brain just short circuited a little bit, but I'm like, yes, 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 and yes. But to teach people to do that on a stage when, what is it like the number two fear of humans behind death is speaking in public, right? Like to
Totally.
get into that authentic place. If you're not
Hmm.
crazy like me and just want to be on a stage all the time, right? If they're
Hmm.
like a normal human who's like that terrified of that
Yeah.
activity, and then you have to drop into yourself,
Yeah.
that's really got to take something. And I think where I'm kind of equating it in my own business where I run into it with my clients and all the people I have the joy of working with, it's that energy in sales as well. Like it's the exact same. Like we get so freaking weird when we're on a stage and we get so
Oh, yeah.
freaking weird when we sell. We forget that both of those things are 99% your energy,
Oh, my gosh.
right?
And okay, but think about this. You whether it's stepping on a stage. So if the person right now is going, yeah, stepping on a stage or making a sales presentation or going in front of my board of directors, all is high stakes. Think about this for a minute.
Mm,
Okay? If that is true, that energy matters and we are energy. So I want you to picture you step in front of a bunch of eyeballs. Maybe it's a stage and you got 4,000 people staring at you, or maybe it is that boardroom. Okay, that is energy coming your way. You need energy to meet that, or it will bowl you over. So you feel tons of energy in your body, don't you? Your
mm.
stomach, your fight or flight response, there is all kinds of stuff showing up. Here's what happens and is the mistake. We don't partner with and see that energy there in service to us. We instead take it as an indictment and an indicator that we're somehow inadequate for that task. It's total crap that we have fed ourselves or have been told and taken as an indicator something's wrong with you. When in fact, you don't need the same level of energy to walk into the grocery store and buy your groceries. So you're not feeling that in your stomach or in your throat. So, is it just possible that if you could reframe that narrative to, oh, this is why I shouldn't be here. This is why I'm not enough for this position because I'm feeling all this energy in my body and I'm scared and I've got fight or flight. That's all normal because it's a higher stakes situation than your average moment in your day. And you have a lot of energy coming your way and you need to meet it. And so let's partner with it. Let's teach you to drop into your body, which is what I do with women is drop into your body, connect with that. Let's partner with it. Let's not wrestle with it or try to muscle it down into submission
Mm.
because it's somehow something's wrong. Go, oh, here you are. Oh, here we go. Let's do this.
Oh,
Energy's here. I'm amped up. Okay, let's channel this. So I'm real, showing up like a real human as opposed to this perfectly polished, managed little automaton. We've seen that person too, who they've just managed it so much that they just are perfect and maybe a little too robotic
yeah.
because they don't let their humanity through. That energy that you feel that feels like dis-ease in your stomach, you can partner with it and then it makes you look more human. And again, what do we want but connection when we want to do biz with someone because we trust them.
Yes.
So suddenly people trust you more. And that's the key to doing business together too, from a business perspective, or going into a relationship with someone or dating them. All of it.
100%. Oh
Yeah.
my God, I love this conversation so much. Jen, I think
Me
what
too.
you said is so freaking powerful because we have such a fear of appearing vulnerable, right? We have such a fear of appearing nervous or even
Yeah.
going out on stage and go, dang, I'm nervous right now, right? Like, because what happens is everybody laughs and now you're immediately not nervous. But when we actually tell the truth, we're so much more relatable. And I think gosh, I'm thinking of all the beautiful souls that we both get to work with all the time and like how
Yeah.
powerful it is when they just step into humanity.
Mm. Yeah.
Because we all have a nose for BS right now, I think better than we've ever had in the history of life because we've seen so much BS and we know when someone's faking it. We know when
Oh, yeah.
someone's calling it in. We
Yep.
can sniff it,
Totally.
right? And I
Totally.
actually just learned recently aligned with this. I was like, that can't be true. And I looked it up, but that we have this innate ability to sense judgment in each other's eyes. When
Whoa.
someone's judging you, you know. Is that why? Like, there's like this internal instinct on that. But
That
I
makes
think,
so much sense.
right? Do you know? You're like, oh yeah, just at dinner the other night. Like, you're
Yeah.
like, yes, I've had that experience. And it's so cool to be able to be like, yeah, there's a scientific fact here. But I think when we are out to share our stories, and I don't think either one of us work with somebody who doesn't say, let me know how many times a day you hear this when you're talking to your clients is, I just want to help people.
Yep.
I swear I hear that every phone call, every time I work with somebody, it's like we know we have that energy behind our work is I just want to help. You and I are here today talking on a podcast, right? To people we can't even see right now because we just want to help. And I
Hmm.
think if you block that in any way, or you copy the way someone else does it, or I love what you said about I can show you how to have posture, where to use your hands, how to,
Yeah.
but is that natural to you? Like, how would you
Right.
talk to your friends? Like, how would you, oh, Jen, I just love this conversation. I hope we just freed somebody up listening
Oh, I
to
guarantee
be
it. We
like,
did. I
I want to do
promise
this
you we
my
did.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing this thing
No,
my
I
way.
promise you we did. And you know what? There's something else to this too that it's like, I just want to help people, but we have to help ourselves first. And I know this is like, God, we hear put your own oxygen mask first. Like I'm mocking something that's actually really true and important because it's been so underscored, overstated, all the things that
Trivialized.
I trivialize, thank you,
Yeah.
that we've grown numb to it. We
Mhm.
need to pay attention to the things we've grown numb to. But the only way, I mean, my business took off and pivoted because I started to help myself first. And you know this about me.
Yes.
It's like if I don't help myself first and tune into this and really own these parts of me,
Mm.
how do I guide anyone else? And so whatever work somebody's doing, I mean, everybody listening with us right now, it's like we're all in this big conversation and we all come from a slightly different lived experience to the meaningful work that we bring into the world. But I really do believe whatever it is, whether it's bringing voice to what's true for you or something else, when you do that personal work, it really is the precursor to the other things.
There's no question.
There's no question. And then we're better equipped and we connect to people. And you reminded me too, I was thinking of some of my most charming speakers last year on the TEDx stage. Brooke Wineland was on her stage. She's this amazing, like 30 something, long blonde hair darling. But she's a software engineer. She's like a guru with AI. She builds artificial intelligence like you wouldn't believe. But she really wanted to show up as her, and she's got kind of this quirkiness, and she was worried and getting nervous, and we taught her just get into your body, like shake it off, because shaking actually resets your nervous system. So it's another thing I teach my clients. Well,
Brilliant.
all of a sudden she's on the stage and we're watching her give her talk, and every time she had to think about what was coming next, she'd go, and for those who can't see me, she's shake her little shoulders and like toss her head in her hair and like, what else do I want to tell you? She'd literally say that. And then she'd go, oh, yes, that's right. And then she'd say something else. It was so
I love
charming
it.
and endearing. And yet she's talking about building AI for good, right? And I'm telling you, that was not some perfectly scripted little, like, do this on the red dot and move here. The audience freaking loved her.
Mm.
It was just like, oh, we trust you. Okay. We want to hear exactly what you have to say. Tell us more. And that shows up everywhere in our lives. So, yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
And there's so much congruency, I think, between the work that we get to do, Jen. No wonder we just love each other so much and we can't stop talking all the time. But it
Totally.
is that I teach that exact same thing about welcoming money into your life. Like you can only make as much money as your nervous system feels safe making. You can't make more than that. And until you shake it off and learn about this
Mhm.
and become that woman who's wealthy on the inside, it cannot show up on the outside.
That's
And
right.
people are like, that's woo. I'm like, is it?
No,
Is it?
it's
Because if you have a 45-watt light bulb and you shoot 90 watts through it, what happens?
Yeah.
It blows. It doesn't have the capacity for it. So I think what you're teaching people in being able to hold their own truth and then
Yeah.
present it,
Yeah.
right, by having the nervous system be able to contain it. I just think that is genius. I mean, it is
Yeah.
so different from what anyone else is doing when they teach people to speak. Jen, I
Yeah.
love it.
Oh, I love it too.
So
It's
good.
it's it's so vital. And it
Yeah.
honestly, I will tell you this last year I took on dating, as you know,
Yes.
purely for this purpose. I wanted to meet really cool souls. Yes, I wanted to go out and have fun, but I'd never really learned to date in my life. I was like serially married for 30 years. So here I am, 54, learning how to date. But here's why. Because it's about the nervous system regulation that you just alluded to. It is about learning to communicate and speak what's true, ask for what I need and desire, say what I don't like, say, goodbye to someone. I go, that was a fun first date, but I don't feel that energy. I don't have to sugarcoat it and be like, maybe we can be friends. Well, maybe we can. Oh, please give them the dignity of a true statement and their response, right? And
Mhm.
so I
So
really
powerful.
think we can create these little experiments like you do a lot of times with clients around money is like, what can we do to get your nervous system accustomed to this new way of being, operating, living in the world and in your skin? And it's
Mm,
science, it's psychology.
it
It
is.
woo, call it woo, but it's also science and psychology. So we can call it all of it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And
It's
if we
edgy
are,
though. It's edgy. You're not
it
wrong.
is, but I hope it becomes more mainstream because we are all energy, right? Like you've been saying this
Yeah.
whole time, what we're tapping into when someone's on a TEDx stage is their energy, right? Like
Mhm.
Simon Sinek blew up his own world in a great way when
Yeah.
there were like what, 20 people in the room in the middle of a snowstorm and it's like a terrible camera and
Dude,
he had a
with that
flip
little
chart.
whiteboard and he's
Yeah,
like
I was
glistening in
like,
sweat. There was nothing about that
nothing.
meant that's such a perfect example, Sarah. I love that you point to that. When
Yeah.
people go, I've got to create this impressive look and stage. No, that was as real and just whatever as could be, but it was true him in
Yes.
a
And
lot of
what
ways.
is he, the number two TED talk ever? Like the most
Exactly.
watched? I mean, and
Exactly.
that is all energy. And
Hmm.
that's what there is when we're connecting with other people, when we want to help other people. And the science comes in, right? People go, oh, that's so woo, right? Like we just said, but the science come in, like we know with the light bulb example I gave you, that is science.
Hmm.
And there's too much energy. We're all energy, right? There's too much energy coming into a light bulb, it will blow.
Yep.
And we see that, right? We see that with success that comes too quickly, right? There's a
Mm.
process to becoming really successful.
Yeah.
We see that people have too much money come in too quickly, they lose
Oh my
it, right?
gosh.
Because it's too much.
Yep.
And I really want to underscore, I hope everybody listening heard what you said about what you're doing with your own nervous system and dating,
Hmm.
because that move, right? That is you consistently expanding your own container. That is you consistently expanding where your nervous system will feel safe. And I
Yeah.
guarantee that is going to show up in business success. It's going to show up in romantic success. It's going to show up in your client's success, right?
No question.
And I think, those of us that are coaches, one of my favorite things about being a coach is how much I have to expand in order to continue to grow. And I love that you're a walking, breathing example of that.
Oh my gosh,
So good.
every day. I mean, you know this about me. Like every day, there is an expansion
Mhm.
that needs to happen. But can I point this out too, Sarah?
Hit me.
With expansion, this is again a law of the universe. With expansion comes contraction.
Mhm.
Okay. So let's say you have this big event. I always call it the post event hangover, the vulnerability hangover.
Speak on it.
Also, we're so unkind to ourselves because we're expanding, we're expanding, we're expanding for this big sales presentation, for this big time on stage. I always tell my speakers the next morning, be prepared already. What are you doing to nourish yourself? What are you doing to take care of yourself? Because you have been building up to this big event, a wedding day, you name it. And then suddenly the next day, what expands must contract, and then you just feel like, whoa. So notice that and go, oh, that's not bad. That's just expansion and contraction, expansion and contraction. And so I'm seeing it every week with you, with other people that I work with on a regular basis. I'm
Yeah.
going, I'm expanding, and then I'm like, oh God, oh God, oh God, and I'm falling apart. And then I'm expanding. And then we're pushing the edge. And then I'm like, oh God, what's wrong with me?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
but doing this work, I just want to call that out because we are calling people to join us in this type of way of living,
Yes.
which is more expansive, but it doesn't mean like I kept thinking, oh, this means now I'm going to feel better about everything and I'm not going to have these things creep in. So we need to remember that with all this expansion comes this contraction and be kinder with ourselves and the other people in our lives. And I just want everyone here to go, oh, so that's normal. Sarah, Jen, other people are like talking to me,
Everybody.
coaching me about expanding, doing this work. But it doesn't mean that when the contraction happens in that same week, like, because it's this ebb and flow that something's wrong or you're not making the progress you are. And that's something I've had to learn very recently because I just kept thinking, I thought I figured this out. I thought I was doing better. I thought I was growing. And then it's like, ugh. That's all of
Yeah.
us. It's all of
No,
us.
we can't get away from it. That is the process.
Yeah,
Right? Like I think that's, and I really appreciate you saying that because it's a part of the process most of us don't talk about. And I think we need to because it does have people think something's wrong. And it's like, no, 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 that's part of it. It's like you can't
totally.
learn how to ride a bicycle without falling down a couple times. That's how you figure out where the balance is.
That's right.
Um, and that there wouldn't be a contraction if the expansion wasn't real.
Yep.
And I think the constant, what does happen, right? Because I love that. What do we call them? Memes now? I don't even know. I'm so old. But anyway, there's like,
Same.
I love the pictures on the interwebs, right? Where it's like there's the straight line going up and it says what people think success is. And then there's the squiggly line going all over the place that is still has an upward trajectory,
For real.
right? And then it's like, this is what success really looks like. And I think it's important we say that because there's so many, I call it the entrepreneur porn that's on the internet,
Dude.
right? But it's like the BS of like, now I make $10 million with a ball of string on the beach. It's like,
Right.
what? No, you don't. And
Right.
understanding what has to happen behind the scenes and what has to happen. This is my favorite part. And I think this is what you see too in your clients, but what has to happen to the human being
Yeah.
in order to have that level of success, in order to go through those expansions and dealing with the contractions that come along the way. What
That's right.
happens to the human is so gorgeous. I did not
Yeah.
say easy. I said gorgeous. So beautiful. And
Hmm.
it can be a lot of fun, right? Even with the
Yeah.
contractions, you can laugh your way through those. You can get that you're really doing something amazing. Like it's just so fantastic.
Oh, because gorgeous. Think about gorgeous. Think about that word. Think about a painting that's gorgeous. Is it just one line of blue or is it complex? Is it nuanced? Does it have variation in it? That's what's gorgeous. Maybe it's one line of blue, but no, really, if you think about when we are drawn to something and we find it gorgeous, it's often because of the nuance or the complexity or the variation in it.
Yes, I couldn't agree
Yeah.
more. I couldn't
Yeah.
agree more. And so, all right, let's do one last thing. Cause I know people like, I think you and I could talk all day because we just, one, we love each
Yes.
other to pieces, but also we could
Yes.
just talk all day. Um, is how do you help people
Yeah.
find the fun in this, right? As we've been talking about, this is a journey, this is a thing, right? And how do they bring themselves into this? Because I know you guys, Jen has a free gift for everybody listening today about, how to find your signature talk. And I think the way that
Mhm.
you find that is really kind of bringing parts of you into it, right?
That's so right. Yeah, exactly. I always start with a client, and whether it's my workshops, so I do in-person workshops. If somebody's in Northern California and they go, oh, I want to be a part of those, great. I do things online and Zoom because I have people from around the world who also attend virtual workshops. And of course, I have my coaching programs, my private coaching practice, and my coaching programs for the TEDx stage. Okay, but the common thread in all of those, I just described four different things. And here's the common thread, and it's what we're talking about is you can't get to a signature talk until you slow down.
Mm,
I always use this phrase, kind of drop into your body. And here's why I say that, because I think it confuses people. I believe that the body, if you can slow down long enough and regulate and listen to it, is the voice of spirit and soul. It
mm,
holds memories, it holds emotions, it holds so much wisdom and data points. We think everything is up here in our gray matter of our brain. In actuality, our bodies are storehouses of wisdom and clarity and ideas and intuition.
Mm.
And so, one of the first things I love to do in all of those settings with clients is go, how can you get tapped into your body? Instead of this mind that's like a bully. I always joke that if you have a soul and a body and a mind that's like a board of three that informs your decision making. But my mind has run this like totalitarian regime and just bullies the other two into quiet submission.
For sure.
And it is only in recent years that I've recognized, oh, all three have something to say. All three have input here. So my focus is how can we focus on all of those things to get to who you are and what your signature talk and your message is. And here's what's crazy. I will get speakers who come to me and go, I need you to help me build a TED talk. It's around this, this, and this. All right, we get to work. But I always start, even if they come to me going, I know I want to start with this. I go, let's go back a little bit and let's start with some of our precursor work, which is really connecting you to you
Mm.
and your deepest, truest wisdom in your body. And invariably, some of those people, their talk shifts a little bit, and the premise behind their talk and their main tenets and talking points and the thing they ache to give their audience morphs and changes. And it is the truer thing. It's
Love
their
it.
truer work.
Yeah.
It's just that they had some things getting in the way of that. But when we took the time, they then feel better and their allegiance to their idea is translated to the audience. They feel better and good in their skin delivering it, and the idea is truer. And so that's the impact thing that lands on an audience and has such huge influence
Mm.
and gives makes a difference for people. So that's the commonality with everything I do.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
Um, and we promised the audience we would talk about the title of this podcast. And
Yes.
I think that's exactly what, like, I'm listening to you describe that journey, and I'm like, that's exactly what I went through. I was like, it's abundance. It's the Sarah Walton show, like trying to come up with all this stuff. And it happened when I was actually vacuuming. I was vacuuming and the West Wing was on. And I was like, oh my God, that scene. And if you guys don't know, go listen to episode 1. But there's a scene where, the president's wife cuts his tie right before he goes on stage
Yeah.
to get him amped up. Right.
Yeah.
And she smacks his butt and says, game on, boyfriend. And it was
Yeah.
like,
It's the best.
oh, and it's when we're in our body. I wasn't doing anything. Right. I was
Yeah.
like, it's kind of like we get shower moments, right? When we're
Yes.
just sort of still. I was vacuuming. I was in like another realm of just doing what I needed to do. And that scene popped up.
Oh,
And that again is more serendipity and energy, I think, that the
okay.
universe delivers. Yeah.
Can I point out there's like 5 points that are so instructive here. So first of all, you vacuuming, and that's when the idea came. Because it's a little bit like our ego and our unconscious mind just kind of gets to flow. I tell my clients all the time, it's rare that a person can just sit down at their laptop and begin typing their talk
Ding,
and
ding,
just
ding.
create a talk. And here's my talking points and here's my bullet points. I said the vast majority of creative inspiration comes when you go out for a walk, go vacuum, go clean a toilet. I mean, go dance and turn on some music because you're a little bit out of your head and into your body. Okay, so I
Mm.
love that that's how this inspired moment came for you. The scene, which again, I've pulled it up on YouTube very recently. I sent it to you because I'm like, this scene, I can't with this scene. It's so great.
So good.
But here's what happens in that scene, okay? Prior to Abby cutting his tie, okay? Let me set the table here for you,
You
okay?
go.
He's getting up in his head. Everybody's like, here we go. This is a high stakes
A
debate he's
debate,
about to
right? Yeah.
have with another presidential opponent because he's going into a new campaign. And so he's got a lot riding on showing up in the right ways so he can win the election in this a debate.
A debate.
Okay.
Yeah. I was like, you
All right.
mean in the debate? Yeah. In
In
the
the debate.
debate. Yeah. And it's super high stakes, right? Because if
It's
he
super
loses
high
the second
stakes.
term,
Right.
right.
Right. So he's getting in his head. Everybody's walking up, shaking his hand, telling them meaningful things. And he's referencing a time where there was another situation with a tie, and that it was really him, right? And Abby, in her knowledge of going, how do I bring out the very best of my husband, of Jed, so he can show up like he is meant to his true self, like, let's go, let's step into this. She knew she had to create an even higher stakes situation for a minute to kind of rattle him out of his head. I'm going to get you out of your head and you are going to be dropped into your body so that you can show up like you on that stage, not the guy in his head thinking about all the things he's got to accomplish and
Mm.
all the pressure that's on him from all of his staff that just bid him farewell as he steps backstage, right? So I love that. So then she goes, I'm very sorry I have to do this. She takes a pair of scissors and she walks up and cuts, and they literally are like 10 seconds to walking on the stage. There
Yep.
is no delay now. It's like this moment, you've got to get on stage. And she cuts his tie with the scissors. And he's like, oh my God, you're crazy. What are you doing? And then he's screaming and yelling, and everybody's tripping and falling, pulling ties off Josh to put the tie onto him. And
Oh,
we haven't
stop
tested the
laughing.
tie with the cameras and blah blah blah. And then he just steps right out and you see him like shake the guy's hand, and he's got his Jed like moxie about him.
He
And
came
there was like
home.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it called upon his courage. It brought out the real him who's like game ready. And like, here we go. And it just got him out of his head because suddenly he had to get into his body and show up. And
Mm.
it's so brilliant, even to our point about what we're talking about today. And as we show up as communicators or anything else, it's like, what are the things that we know are the keys to us being more real and then showing up in that way?
Mm. It's
Yeah.
everything. And
Yeah.
it doesn't come when we're trying.
No,
It
the
comes when we're
trying, you're
being. Yeah.
totally. Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Come
This is
on.
such a good conversation. Oh my
I
God. Talk
know.
about game on.
I
Damn.
know. I
So
love
good.
it.
So
Yeah.
good. All
Yeah.
right. Well, Jen, I know you do have the How to Find Your Signature Talk download for everybody who's listening. Can you just share a little bit more about that? You guys, we're going to have the link under this video if you're watching on YouTube, or it'll be in the show notes if you're listening.
Yeah, it's a great resource because it just starts to take some of the thoughts you're having, the ideas you're having, the fears you may even be having,
Mm.
and puts it down on paper. So let's get it out of your head. Let's put it onto this document on your computer on paper. Or you can look at it, think about it, go for a walk, go do something, move your body, and just plant these seeds of, oh, okay, these are some of the steps. This is from path A to path B, path A to B is I'm going to take this and create a concrete talk, something that is shareable, that I've distilled down to the most essential.
Mm.
Because if a lot of people I encounter, I find that people come to me because they're really inspired and they have all these ideas, they have all these visions, they have all these stories, they have all this lived experience and they want to talk about it. But it's like, how do you distill this down to what the most essential things are? And
Mm.
that's where it also helps. So it's just starting to consolidate things down, and it really gets you going and into some of your first steps to A, unpacking the stuff in your head that's getting in the way, B, dropping into your body, C, how can I begin to distill down these insights that I have and determine what goes in this talk, what would go in another talk. So it's a framework because you probably have multiple talks in you. A lot of people have a lot of
Yeah.
messages. They're not just some one trick pony, but there's a lot there. So it
Mm.
gets you on that path. And then, of course, they can reach out to me. I'll help them. They'll get a sense of what it's like, call me. I'm relational, as you can tell.
Really is.
Book
You
a
guys,
call
she's
with
not
me.
just
I want
saying
to
that.
talk to you. I
Oh
do.
my
I
God.
spend inordinate amounts of time talking to people on the phone to just go, hey, how can I help? Or
Hmm.
what's getting in your way? Let's just remove some of the stuff that's getting in your way so you can feel really good in your own skin and show up more real in your life. Because professionally and personally, I just don't know what else is a greater game changer, because it's part of that mindset work that you know so much about. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
I mean, no,
everything.
that is it. I mean, you guys go grab that, okay? Because
Yeah.
that is your tie cutting without having to cut a tie. There it
Total
is
tie
right
cutting.
there. It's right there for you to go get it, to step into who you really are, to be able to tell your truth. And I'm going to assert something. If you heard this podcast episode, it's because it's your time. It is your time
Ooh.
to get out and tell your truth and speak. And I want you to reach out to Jen. All of her information, again, is in the show notes or it's under this video if you're watching on YouTube. Jen,
Yeah.
you're one of my favorite people on planet Earth. Thank you so much for the work that you are doing for all of us
Mm,
in sharing stories and telling our stories and learning how to be with ourselves while we do that. It's just beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. You are a gorgeous soul, Sarah Walton. I love you dearly.